So welcome to the £1,000 category for our 2018 Hardtail of the Year test. And I'm here with Al, who did some of the testing for this category. So you want to talk us through the winner, please?
This is the Vitus Sentier is the winning bike in this class. And like before we even get into why this is the best bike, to be fair to Charlie, he did most of the testing. I just rode all the bikes with him. And it's the hardest category to do. And like, because when you've got £1,000 to spend on a hardtail, there's no reason why everything shouldn't be totally dialed on it. Like when we do the £500 bikes, the £750 bikes, there's always compromises that creep in, like it's got a quick release fork, or it's got crappy tires, or it's got like a weird drivetrain. But when you're spending £1,000, I mean, you get basically a state-of-the-art hardtail. I mean, Vitus has got a really strong bike in the £500 class, which everybody knows it's been our like hardtail of the year for 3 years running maybe. Yeah. I mean, they make great suspension bikes too, but they really clean up in the hardtails class. And I just saw this and I thought, well, we can't penalize them just because they got one really good bike. Well, why can't they have two? And like, but we didn't know it was going to win until like we did the ride. And I'll be really like straight up. It was a really close call between this and the Sonder transmitter,
which is another kind of new startup direct sales brand, isn't it?
From Alpkit.
Yeah.
So we started riding the bikes back to back, and we're like, it came down to those two bikes pretty much instantly. They were like the best bikes. And what it was the Sonder had like a slightly slacker head angle and a bit more like aggressive geometry. The Vitus was a lot lighter. Yeah. It didn't quite have as aggressive geometry, but it had better tires. So basically you could ride it harder than you could the bike with the better geometry. I mean, the Sonder had WTB Rangers on it, which is quite a low profile tire, which is really good when it's dusty and dry and you're kind of rolling along. But the problem with that is that as soon as it gets muddy and wet, which is what, 60%, 70% of our year here in the UK. Yeah, like if you're living in the UK, I mean, I know we've got a lot of American viewers and stuff. If you're riding in the mud, those tires they just don't cut it. There's just not enough traction. So what really swung it for the Vitus were the Maxxis tires, just because it's got a Mini on the front and a Recon on the rear, and they're just more versatile. You can ride these tires in the mud, you can ride them in the dry. I mean, that's a 3C spec tire in the front. These are the tires that come on the £4,000 full suspension bikes.
Oh no, out of the box, it's amazing. And not only that, it's a big 2.6, isn't it?
Yeah. So last year, the winner of this test was a Norco.
Yep.
And it was the only plus bike in the test. And it won because the big fat tires just give you like so much cushioning, so much grip, so much confidence. And just basically, I mean, we kind of ummed and ahed about the geometry, but the tires just made such a big difference. We were like, well, yeah, this is the best bike. This year, 4 of the bikes in the £1,000 class had plus tires. And by plus, we're looking at, technically, you could say that the Vitus isn't plus because it's a 2.6, it's just a big tire, and you could say plus is 2.8 and above. But really you're splitting hairs because all the tire sizes measure different and they come up different. Someone's 2.8 is bigger than someone's 3.0. But it's a real big shift that's made hardtails like just so much better than, I mean, you've been riding a lot of plus suspension bikes too, and even when you have suspension, you can feel it.
Helps. But not only that, it was it was incredibly light bike.
It is. It's a really high quality frame. I think that's what really sets like the Vitus bikes apart. They're not just kind of focused on these kind of £4,000, £6,000 like suspension bikes that kind of get all the headlines. They're really looking at building bikes for guys that are coming in, getting into mountain biking, and it's a really good brand proposition for them because if someone buys one of these bikes, they're just going to have such a good time, and then if they eventually do move to a full suspension bike, I mean, Vitus is going to be the brand they're thinking about because that's the brand they started on.
They've had a great sort of beginning on it, and they're going to want to continue through and have that brand loyalty.
I mean, it's got a 1x drivetrain, which is what you'd expect on this bike, and like so if anybody's like looking at specifications on hardtails and stuff and they're thinking more gears are better, actually no, less gears. I mean, if we look at the very highest end in mountain biking, 12 gears is where it's at. The chain doesn't come off, the bike's really quiet, and then you leave like a load of space here, just under your brake levers. So I mean, this bike is ripe for a dropper post upgrade. You just put your shift lever on there for your dropper post, so you can, it separates the two really cleanly.
I mean, looking at it, it's probably the only thing you could say is missing from this bike really is a dropper post.
Yeah, it's true. And there were 2 bikes in the test with dropper posts. The Trek and the Norco, like last year's winner, both had dropper posts, which is
amazing.
unreal.
Price,
like for at £1,000, I mean, that really is trickle down like at its finest. But it's not the most important thing. And like I think what the Sonder and the Vitus both proved is that geometry, tires, suspension, cockpit layout, they're the key things to get right on the bike. The dropper post, that's just like the cherry on top. So.
Yeah, and this is a bike that's worth making those upgrades to.
Oh, totally. So I mean, there only is one upgrade. I mean, the Shimano brakes have been super consistent. No bleed issues, nothing like that. Braking power is really good. The bike's got like a wide rim to go with the bigger 2.6 tires, so you actually can run slightly lower air pressure, and the tire doesn't roll around on the rim and doesn't burp. They've even got like a neoprene chainstay protector on there now, and like any chain slap there is damped by that.
It's a really well sorted bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've tested the predecessor of this bike a few years ago when I did this test, and it actually won then. And I think, I mean, obviously things have
moved on a lot,
and it's really noticeable. And it's interesting that it's people like Vitus that are continuing to be at the forefront of these hardtails. They don't
stop progressing. They're not just thinking, okay, well, yeah, we're winning the test, we'll just sit back and take it easy now. They're always trying to make them better. And I think that really shows that they're just consistent. They're consistent test winners.
So and it's interesting, isn't it? Because you'd think on a hardtail it'd be quite easy for a brand to come in and just basically copy what someone like Vitus is doing, and
it would be. But it would be.
But it doesn't seem to happen.
It doesn't, because well, the thing is, because they'll maybe miss. Like, I mean, that would be probably like my only real criticism of the geometry on the Sonder, and I said this when I reviewed that bike, the more expensive version, was the BB's too high. You just don't need a BB that high on a hardtail. And if they fix that, I don't know, it would have been really tough to separate them, and it would have come down to the rubber. I mean, I've got a shed full of tires. I mean, you've probably got you've got tons of tires too. Do you change your tires for the conditions? No, you just go out and ride and slide around or slip around. Maybe if it's been really wet, you might put mud tires on for like 3 or 4 months, and then run them in the dry for a bit, because you can't be asked to change them back. So that was what really, I thought, well, someone that's buying this bike isn't going to have a shed full of tires, and they're definitely probably not, and if they do, they might be a different wheel size. So we just thought, right, this bike is the one that is completely dialed straight out of the box. You don't need to do anything to it.
What did this score then, out of 10?
Oh, it's a 10 out of 10 bike.
10 out of 10.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, there's no doubt about there was no and ahhing about the rating on this bike.
Right.
So yeah, like you said, you sort of think other brands could just come along and just make a hardtail like this. And you go, well, the blueprint's right here. Of course they could. I mean, and I hope that by Vitus stepping it up every year, what you've seen is it's dragged all of the other brands up with it. And the key thing about that is that everyone benefits. There's just so many better bikes out there than there was before.
So basically we're setting a challenge to all of you other brands out there. You've got to beat this next year. Everything's there. Like, we can, all the geometries in the mag and stuff, just see if you can beat the Vitus next year.
You can't penalize Vitus for doing, I'm going to make that mistake loads of times. So basically, for anyone that's watching, it's not Vitus, the brand's Vitus.
It's in our head.
We can't get it out of our minds.